Well, it's been 2 years apparently. Time to do another one of these. Hello and welcome back to another Midnight Showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of The Fate of the Furious, aka Fast and Furious 8. Because there's 8 of these. Holy shit. There are 8 of these. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I'm not a big fan of these movies. And the only reason why I gave the last one a positive was really because of the tribute they did to Paul Walker at the end. This movie doesn't really have that going for it. Okay, full disclosure, I understand that I'm just not the fan of this. I don't really give a shit about cars. The worst thing I can say about this movie is that it's stupid. But me saying that is kind of redundant because that's what people like about it. It's like reading the reviews for the new Power Rangers movie and talking about how silly and cheesy it is. That's the whole point. It's fucking Power Rangers. Same argument applies to this. This is a stupid film. The problem I have mostly with it is that it's not stupid enough. There are times when it gets there, especially when you're talking about The Rock and Jason Statham. But my big problems with it are the ones trying to play itself off as serious and intelligent, which it is not. But I'm dancing around it anyway. Let's start reviewing this proper and go into... So just like with the last film, the best thing in this movie, bar none, is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He once again gives us amazingly over-the-top, badass one-liners that are so stupid that I don't even think Arnold Schwarzenegger back in his heyday would have said these. But they are glorious for it. And just like with the last movie where we had the "I'm gonna kick him so hard that his mama's gonna feel it in her womb" line, we've got a line in here that is just so stupidly awesome, I don't think I can do it justice. That line, of course, is, "I'm gonna knock your teeth so far down your throat that you're gonna shove a toothbrush up your ass to brush them." And of course, he's saying this to Jason Statham. It's so beautiful. The back and forth between Jason Statham and The Rock made for easily the funniest sequence in the whole fucking movie. And as I said, Jason Statham returns to reprise his role from the last movie, although now he is a good guy because he did everything for his brother, who also comes back in this movie as a surprise cameo near the end, and once again is a good guy, so gonna forget all of the multiple attempts on the family, I guess. But between The Rock and Jason Statham doing their thing, whenever the action focused on them, it was enjoyably over the top. Jason Statham doing his usual pseudo parkour, weaving in and out and hitting people type of fighting. But The Rock is just literally a tank. There's a sequence in this movie where he literally walks through a guy shooting beanbag rats basically at point blank range, and they're just bouncing off him, and he's just getting more pissed off for it. And it's when those moments like that where the action is just so stupid that it's amazing. That is when this movie is at its best. And hell, they really did try to improve the action and take it to the next level inside of this movie. And I'm not just talking about the car shit. I'm talking about just the hand-to-hand stuff. They stole moves straight out of John Wick and put them inside of this movie. They didn't know how to work it camera-wise. There's still way too much shaky cam inside of this movie. But it's really nice to see that they're working on the choreography and bringing in new stuff. But it's not just the fighting. When they actually do bring it into the cars, there's a sequence where they basically hack a third of the cars in New York and start driving them around and chasing down a guy who's got a nuclear football. Because, you know, ambassadors just drive around with nuclear launch codes in their hand, I guess. And there's another sequence where they start backing them out of parking garages and dropping them like fucking mines to bury this guy's car inside of the street. It's amazingly over the top. Although I still think that the best action part of this movie is when The Rock gets out of his car, starts ice skating literally throws a fucking torpedo at another guy's car is just so stupid and so over the top. It's just, you gotta love it. But with all that said, this film really didn't do it for me, and we've got to talk about it. You might have noticed that I keep saying that it's stupid, but awesome. The problem is when it's stupid and it's not. And unfortunately, that makes up the majority of the movie. I can pick out moments where the action is just so batshit insane that it works perfectly. But there's just as many moments and more where it just doesn't work at all. I mentioned the shaky cam already, and, it would have been better if they figured out, maybe not to do that. But there are times where you can't tell who's where and how and why. And it's just a simple sequence of them driving away from bad guys. Who's in the lead? I just need to know that. Which one of the cars was in front? Which one was in front of all of them? Because they keep switching back and forth between cuts. And it doesn't look like the cars are actually, trading places. It just looks like this sequence, this guy is on focus, so we have to pull him back out of everything else here. And they're just jumping places, and it's just so confusing. I want to get invested, but I can't tell where anybody is in the relationship of what's going on. Usually you only have this problem when you're dealing with CGI messes. They're all physical cars that are actually there, and it's not like they're CGIing in the Transformer cars or anything. So how was this hard for me to figure out which car is where? Now, it's not like this for the whole movie. When they're in New York, it was pretty easy to follow the cars, although it did seem like a few of the cars could teleport. I don't know how The Rock's Humvee was able to keep up with all of these luxury and sports cars. It just doesn't seem like it would have the speed. But I could follow it there. But when we're on the ice, and they're running from all of the Russian separatists, seriously, how many times did people back up and pull forward? I couldn't tell. And if I can't tell, I can't get invested. I can't enjoy the stupidity of some of the action that's going on. And this is one of those things where you just have to turn off that logic side of your brain and just enjoy what's on screen. The problem is that I can't necessarily do that if I can't tell what's happening with my eyes. And, okay, there is one actor in this that we need to address, and I don't want to do it because I've praised him in other movies, but Vin Diesel. What is supposed to be intimidating about Vin Diesel in this movie? And honestly, they put so much emphasis on how much of a badass that Vin Diesel is, and how much better he is at everything than everybody else, that I'm just sitting there wondering, how are you losing to this guy? He's doing some pretty stupid stuff, and you really couldn't tell that there's a GPS on your plane giving off a signal? Just saying. I mean, Charlize Theron plays a good villain inside of this film. I will admit, she does come off as intimidating, and she doesn't seem like she's taking the role too seriously, but at the same time, she didn't play it so silly that it was laughable. But she's supposed to be some kind of super hacker that was behind the events of the last 3 movies, behind the scenes, which, let's be honest, the plot holes there you could drive trucks through, but that's kind of what this series does. How is she losing to Vin Diesel? How could she not track the obvious, GPS he built into his necklace? How come she couldn't track the obvious wristwatch that apparently gave Jason Statham, the control of her plane later on? How was it that she didn't have some kind of procedure to deal with 2 armed thugs that entered through the cargo bay? Where every single action hero enters in any action movie ever? You'd think that someone this smart would, put some bombs in there or something to blow the floor. Just drop them right out of the plane before they open the main door. There's ways out of this. But remember, Vin Diesel's supposed to be the one who came up with all this, even though he's not supposed to be technically minded. He's just supposed to be mechanically minded. So, what? And it really does make you wonder what made Vin Diesel work in these movies in the previous installments. Sadly, it was Paul Walker. Paul Walker's character, his back and forth with Vin Diesel, are what made those two characters very interesting. The problem is one half of this equation is clearly missing, and it doesn't feel like Vin Diesel has done anything different to try to, elevate himself or move beyond or evolve, which is basically the big problem with these movies in general. As I said, they are not for me. I don't give two shits about cars, and this is trying way too hard to be cool or extreme for me. But that doesn't mean that these sequels can just sit here and repeat the same thing and we can just let them get away with it. They need to evolve. They need to do new stuff. The Rock and Jason Statham seem to be moving in a direction of expanding on the silliness and doing stupid over-the-top shit. But mostly the stuff with Vin Diesel having to fight his family and whatnot because of plot point from 5 that came back with a baby and just killing her off for her 2-minute cameo. It feels like Vin Diesel doesn't want these movies to evolve or go in different directions. It feels like he wants them to do the same shit over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it really does feel like it's starting to really tear these films and this franchise apart. I want to actually go to this franchise and say, hey, I may not have liked the other ones, but I liked this one a lot. And I can't because it doesn't feel like the movies want to evolve so they can include me into their fandom. But yeah, as you can tell, I have a lot of problems with this movie. It's just not something that I would normally like, and it's not trying to go out of the way to get me to like it. So you can probably already guess what this is, but let's just move on to... The last movie, I gave it a recommendation of good and even to possibly go see it, mostly because of the tribute they did to Paul Walker, which was completely worth the price of admission to a theater. And I feel that it really did elevate the movie in my mind, even if I didn't think the movie itself was very good. This one... it's not very good still. There are things to enjoy about it. There are things that you can get excited about and that you can like and that you can actually get attached to. I'm just not the guy that can do that. I like The Rock and Jason Statham and even occasionally Ludacris and Tyrese, although Tyrese got really annoying in some parts. I did like The Rock actually calling him out on it. Why are you yelling all the time? But still, there were times where that got almost Chris Tucker levels of bad. But I can't get on board with all of this super serious corporate and government espionage shit that they keep trying to force into these movies. I mean, it's supposed to be about cars and street racing, isn't it? They want to evolve to try to include this shit, but it doesn't feel like they evolved. It feels like they just dropped what made them famous, and now it's all about this. It feels like a discount XXX, even more so than the actual discount XXX that we got this last January. Yes, I know I didn't do a review on it. I did see it. It sucked, and it might be making an appearance on my worst list. Just saying. Personally, my final verdict is... wait for Netflix. There's no reason to go spend your money on this. There are much better action movies in theaters right now. Go see John Wick Chapter 2, because that's where they ripped a lot of the action from, was from the John Wick stuff. You can go see it better done there. Go see Logan. If you want to get something more emotional out of your action movies, go watch that. You want to go see something just stupid fun? Go watch fucking Power Rangers, in my opinion. This, it's not worth outright ignoring, but it's not worth going out of your way to see. So wait for it to come onto Netflix and enjoy yourself one night when you're just bored and there's nothing else to watch. And yeah, that's it for me. Have you seen Fast 8? I'm going to call it that because it's better than The Fate of the Furious. So yeah, tell me what you thought about it in the comments down below, and maybe we'll get some healthy discussion going. And as always, be sure to hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more. Be sure to follow me on all the social medias, the Facebooks, the Twitches, the Twitters, all that. It's in the description down below. And yeah, that's it for me. So I'll see you all next time.